Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I would like to wholeheartedly welcome you to this first session on behalf of the organizers of our event. Supporting a solid entrepreneur mindset through mentoring and accelerating sustainable and shared value business ideas is the topic for this early morning. Let me remind you, this week is a very special week, and I believe we are all excited to have the opportunity to participate in summit meetings, workshops, other events, either in Brussels or from far in Africa and Europe, and of course in other places. Probably this time, business is more important than ever in discussing African-European relations. There are exciting perspectives for the cooperation. Let me just mention the Pan-African Free Trade Area and the European Global Gateway project. We will learn more about these two concepts, but be able to discuss some of the elements and plans for the future. However, the success of this week will be based on the learning process of all those participating. In this respect, I'm extremely happy to chair a meeting where we look at some specific and fundamental issues of business activities in both continents, and where we have learned over time what these specific aspects means. We will look at business ideas and how they can be framed by shared value business ideas and mentoring. Both aspects are not new, but have been developed theoretically in the past 5 years. Let me just mention to you that the issue of the connection between social progress and business success is now increasingly discussed since 2016. For us, more importantly, they have been applied in starting businesses in emerging economies in Europe, but also in Africa. And therefore, it is great to have with us our partners associated with the event, the Entrepreneurs for Entrepreneurs OVO, Shift Impact, and Einstein Rising. I'm very grateful to Tiki Bana and Thierry Deflandre for their support and their input with all their teams, and specifically, of course, to all our speakers for today. I want to express my gratitude to colleagues from these organizations with which we developed the program and invited the participants, and they will be introduced by the anchors of the two different panels. Let me specifically thank Stefan Moritz from the European Entrepreneurs, who is behind all what we see this morning. And let me also mention Walter Grupp, the former Secretary of European Entrepreneurs, who had been helping and influential in introducing the shared value concept to the European Commission since 2016. Now, you're all aware of the program, so let me not repeat what you will see and what you will hear. But let me highlight that Thierry Deflandre and Brian Mangeni will look at the second part of the workshop, while we will look at the first part with Vuyo Lutseke being the anchor for the panel debate. We will have a Q&A session at the very end, so if you have questions, please add them to the chat, and we will come back to that. Now, let me introduce the first speaker of the morning. This is Mojapelo Sazini. Thank you very much for joining us. We are very thrilled to be able to listen to you. She is the chairperson of Shift Impact Africa and the Shared Value Africa initiative. And she is responsible for the corporate citizenship and community group. Her expertise lies in the development and execution of strategic plans linked to business development, focused on the small enterprise development, specifically creating shared value, sustainability, and financial inclusion. Exactly what we will discuss in the first part of the morning. Mrs. Sazini is a Harvard Business School graduate, and I'm very happy to give the floor to her now. So without further ado, please, you have the floor.
Good morning, and thank you very much for that introduction. And good morning to all the participants and delegates taking part today. As already mentioned, today we will be discussing how we support a solid entrepreneurship mindset through mentoring and accelerating sustainable and shared value business ideas. Let me start by introducing shared value and its importance. The topic of corporate responsibility has been captioned under many names, including strategic philanthropy, corporate citizenship, social responsibility, and other monikers. As the name implies, each carries with it a certain perspective on the role of business in society. Regardless of the label, for now the dominant paradigm underlying corporate social responsibility or corporate social investments is centered on the idea of creating shared value. Essentially, the role of business, according to this model, is to create value for not only its shareholders, but all stakeholders, in such a way that it also creates value for society, manifesting itself as a win-win proposition. So what is creating shared value? Augmented by the work of Michael Porter and Mark Kramer from the Harvard Business School, shared value frames social problems as business opportunities and also demonstrates the immense capacity for innovation and scale of impact. Leading companies today understand that the success of their business is intrinsically linked to the success of the communities in which they operate. Their social purpose and impact are integral to their economic success. Further, governments, international NGOs, and other development actors now recognize businesses and small business as important actors for economic growth. It is important at this point in our understanding of creating shared value that the concept itself does not replace philanthropy, CSR, CSI, etc. It, however, presents a sustainable way in which businesses can engage with society by finding business opportunities and competitive advantage in addressing important social challenges. One such challenge is the need to support and grow micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, and indeed harness the entrepreneurs as engines of any society. For this particular workshop, let's speak to Africa. For years, the African continent has been shrouded in controversy when it comes to its future potential. The optimists talk about Africa as the next economic frontier, while the skeptics point to a low growth rate, poverty, and conflict as key challenges standing in the way of notable development. Yet the continent has grown its economy by around 5% per annum over the last decade, and is as urbanized as China, and has many cities as Europe, with a population of more than 1 million according to the Future Agenda. The World Bank reports that the sub-Saharan Africa is home to more than 1 billion people, half of whom will be under 25 years old by 2050, suggesting that the workforce of the future is based right here on the continent. They go on to say that Africa is a diverse continent offering human and natural resources that have the potential to yield inclusive growth and eradicate poverty. Small and medium-sized businesses are essential to this growth. This was the case before COVID-19, and even more so around the world as people learn to live with it, as the virus moves from being a pandemic to being endemic. Our ability to support and leverage the growth of SMEs is by providing mentorship and coaching of entrepreneurs. It is most apt to have this conversation in this workshop, as the primary focus is on supporting the entrepreneurs and the SME sector to facilitate learnings and exchange ideas from EU to African entrepreneurs. The dynamic between global challenges and local action is another current and very relevant interaction, and yet full of complexity. Towards the end of 2020, the United Nations launched a new initiative in Africa called #MGGLB, Make Global Goals Local Business. The executive director of the United Nations Global Compact, Sanda Ojiambo, set the context for business in post-pandemic Africa, and emphasized the need for local solutions to local needs to build resilience. She said that companies are only as healthy as the communities they serve, and that the UN Global Compact 10 principles, which reflect the SDGs, provide the foundation for strong and resilient businesses to support the economic recovery in Africa. More specifically, she highlighted the need for an inclusive recovery that integrated micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises that suffered the most during the pandemic in terms of business and job losses. Women and young people are a particular priority in this recovery, as they are often the backbone of micro and small enterprises. And there is an urgency to employ and empower the young entrepreneurs of this next generation. It is this interaction between global and local that offers opportunities for large and small businesses, and this is all the more important post-pandemic, as many businesses experienced the consequences of the overdependence of their supply chains on large international producers. The diversification of this market becomes critical as we see the rise of multinational enterprises which grow beyond their local borders and expand their reach across the continent and indeed the global markets. The opportunity for this growth can be through meeting the SDGs. Paul Polman has spoken about the SDGs as the biggest business opportunity of the 21st century, and indeed the need for small businesses to lead economic recovery. One important pathway to achieve this is to leverage the small and medium enterprises and create responsible supply chains. Global supply chains are a critical opportunity to not only growing small businesses at a local level, but enable trade at a global level with large companies. These SMEs have the ability to develop into multinational enterprises because of their numerous and large activities across different countries. They can be dominant actors in the global economy. Creating shared value becomes an important business enabler, ensuring the nexus of trade between small business and large corporates. Within the enterprise supply chain of large corporates is the opportunity to create shared value by ensuring micro and small business development is part of the procurement and supply chain of large corporates. Beyond the enterprise supply chain, shared value opportunity is the investments of large corporates directly into the small businesses and entrepreneurship space. Google's recent announcement of plans to invest $1 billion to support digital transformation in Africa is a very positive indicator of the potential of the continent and our entrepreneurship network. The investment, which was announced in October 2021, will be used not only to enable affordable internet access and build helpful products, but the critical investments required in entrepreneurship and technology, as well as empower entrepreneurs as they continue to embark on digital transformation and growth. Evidently, the call to action in this instance is not only to embed shared value practice into our business models, but to support solid entrepreneurship mindset through increased mentorship and capacity building. But further financial investments into this space is critical. The shared value entrepreneurship mindset is not only driven and supported by Shift Impact Africa. We have set up an academy that enables us to support young entrepreneurs to develop and grow the understanding around creating shared value beyond just growing their businesses. So the shared value entrepreneurship mindset is one to think local and indeed to act global. I thank you.
Thank you very much for setting the mindset for everything, and also by highlighting some of the important issues. And I felt very important that you mentioned also the health of the institutions, the health of the businesses, but also the health of the societies. Thank you very much for that. And let me just also mention what you said at the very end, the academy you have been building up. I think it's very important, maybe also in the discussion to come back to that, to see how it works and what also the young entrepreneurs get from it. Now, let me give the floor to Vuyo Lutseke, because she will be the anchor for the panel. And also let me thank the entrepreneurs who will participate in that. You have the floor, please.
Thank you so much, Horst, and thank you for our host for allowing us to essentially be the opening session for the African Business Week. Looking forward to everything that will be taking place this week. So as Horst mentioned, my name is Vuyo Lutseke, and I'm a director at the Shared Value Africa Initiative, working very closely alongside Sazini as well as our CEO, Tiki Barnard, in growing not only awareness, but implementation of the profit with purpose approach to business strategy, as Sazini has just taken us through right now. And I think as I'm about to really introduce our entrepreneurs today, I want to just underline what Sazini said about the importance of empowering entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs and SMMEs and startups across the continent, because if they are supported properly, they will be an integral part of building businesses that will thrive and contribute to the African economy. And as the SVAI, that really is what underlines the work that we do and how we've been able to build essentially our various entrepreneurship support programs and a fellowship of entrepreneurs like the ones who will be joining us shortly. So I would proudly introduce our entrepreneurs, and I ask if your video is not on already, please switch it on as I bring you in. First up is Benedict Okpala, who is the co-founder and development lead at Kiru Energy, based in Nigeria. We also have Edmund, who is the co-CEO and clinical head of Kenoch HG Global Herbal Clinic, And then finally we have Satsi, who is co-founder and CEO of AgroCorp Limited in Ghana. So being very Pan-African, our session today is casting very much a lens towards West Africa. And hello guys, thank you so much for joining me. And I don't want to take too much in introducing you, but rather give you each the microphone to introduce yourselves. So I'm going to give you each 3 minutes to just introduce who you are and the work that you do in your organization. And I will start first with Benedict. Go ahead, Benedict, and tell us a little bit about yourself and Kiru Energy. And switch on your mic, yes.
Morning, everyone. Good morning, Vuyo. My name is Benedict Okpala. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm the co-founder of Kiru Energy Limited. At Kiru Energy, we leverage on digital solutions and smart technologies to solve and address the problem of electricity unavailability, unreliability, and unaffordability. So we do this by connecting or providing access to clean electricity for our customers by connecting them to our smart grid system and then integrating these networks together so that they'll be able to buy electricity on demand and then perform other functionalities that are necessary. So we started in 2018 as a waste management company, after which we pivoted to a full renewable energy company by 2019 when we got registered in Nigeria. So far so good. We've implemented our pilot project at Owerri, and we are also looking at scaling from Q2 of this year. Electricity is actually, or issues of electricity is actually a very common problem here, and then it's something that we are passionate about. I wouldn't want to bore us with the details of why we started. I think that will be a question for the next, for maybe next questions will be asked. But for now, this is what we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ben. I actually do want to delve a little bit into that as well, and what, especially the pivot. What made you pivot at the point that you did in 2019, but we'll come back to that just now. I would like to then introduce Satsi to tell us a little bit about AgroCorp and the work that you do on that side. Switch on your microphone, please, Bless.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much, Vuyo. My name is Bless Satsi, and I am in the agri-tech space in Ghana. I've been in this space since 2020, the early part of 2020, when I was part of an agri-tech challenge organized in my country by Cosmos Energy. But currently, being at AgroCorp, what we do is that we tackle post-harvest losses along the entire value chain of agric in our country. So we start right from the farm to when the goods get to the market. So we have various interventions like getting the farmers fast markets for their highly perishable products. We also help them on their farms to preserve their produce long. And we are also into processing of some of these products to other produce that can last longer on the shelves that they can make more money from. And it's been quite an interesting journey because we've gone through several stages. We did a lot of research in the agricultural space, and then we realized that this was the problem that was most eminent that we had to tackle. And this was what we wanted to do, and so we went for it. And it's been so far so good. Not at where we want to be, but we know we'll get there.
And I think that's, the kind of energy you definitely need to keep in mind that, it's never going to be a smooth ride, but you know where you're headed and you move with intention, which is what I really respect about both of your businesses and the work that you do. Just to let our audience know that unfortunately Edmund seems to have dropped off the call. So I hope he'll be able to rejoin, but until he does, I think we'll just keep the conversation going amongst the three of us. And I think just really to start off, at the back end of you, telling us a bit about your business, tell us about we always talk about how, especially in the African context, entrepreneurs are very much, as you two both are, you see challenges that face society, right, at the grassroots level. And both of you really founded your organizations based on observations that you had in your community. And I want to come back to you, Ben, and tell us a little bit about how, the pivot that you had to do, but also really what was a challenge that you faced in society that made you, as well as your co-founder, Chibuna, stand up and, decide to start a business and address these challenges in society. You mentioned access to power, for example. Go ahead.
All right. When we started 2018, we are passionate about entrepreneurship. Personally for me and my co-founder, it's more of a passion thing for us. I'm not the kind of person.
Oh my goodness.
That sees a problem and to waste management. So we are looking at how we could, convert the whole waste to money, stuff, and the rest, waste to wealth. So, but at some point, find that this waste management stuff is not really what we want to do in terms of it does not give us that opportunity to innovate because we both came from the technical background. I personally I have a background in electrical and electronics engineering. So because of some of these reasons and the challenges we faced then, we find out that where our passion lies actually is in this electricity sector. And this is actually something that is very common here. This is a problem that we all grew up from. Electricity problem is not something that is uncommon to our local space here. So we find out that this is something that we want to do. We looked at, we did the research, and we know, statistically, I would say that in Nigeria alone, Nigeria SMEs lose $20 billion annually because of unreliable electricity. And from the statistics too, 40% of Nigerians lack access to reliable electricity. That means that they're not even connected to the national grid. So it's a huge problem when you talk about electricity. Nigerian market or Nigerian businesses could have performed more. I could have done better if electricity problem is solved. So from where I come from, or from my background in education, I remember those days in school, our professors always come in and say, every year we graduate electrical electronics engineers, and yet none of them could solve the Nigerian power issues. So it's something I became personally touched with as a child. So when by 2019 we started to pivot into a full renewable energy company. So we looked at the issue. We found that clean electricity or clean energy is actually something that is very common, right? Nigerians are already aware of it, Africans are already aware of it, but why do people still resort to using the eco-unfriendly alternatives like the gas, the petrol and the diesel generators? It's noisy and then it destroys the ecosystem. It emits a lot of CO2. People are already aware of solar, but the challenge here is affordability, right? An average Nigerian cannot completely afford the amount or capacity of solar PV systems or wind PV and wind systems that can completely service their load. So that's actually why we came up with this with this Kiru energy and this idea. So we'll be able to provide affordable electricity, so the customer does not get to pay for that bulk initial capital investment involved in setting up a renewable energy system. So all you need to do is to connect to our network, and then you'll be able to buy electricity at a low cost, and then your business first for businesses and then for homes. So that's actually how we're able to pivot and then come to where we are right now. Yeah,
that's amazing, because I think also, I loved when you said that, as an entrepreneur, the challenge to innovate is, you find that quite exciting as well. And I think it's really good, especially as one who is creating shared value by providing, clean and affordable solutions to the society that you operate in. So congratulations on that, and want to hear more about the change, right? The Kiru energy and the work that you're doing shortly. Bless, when you started your company, I love the accessibility that you offer. You're also offering the clientele, right? So agriculture and technology coming together. What was the inspiration for you in doing this? Because you really have, found a market, right, that is in need of the services. What did you witness that made you really look at it as a business strategy?
Okay, thank you very much, Vuyo. So before coming into the agri-tech space, I was in the tourism field. So I am a tour operator originally. And one would say that then what business has a tour operator in the agri-tech field? So the problem was that it was becoming a problem with the vegetables we eat. Especially the vegetables I often bought. You buy it in the market, and before you get home, it's about getting rotten or it's getting soft. So I knew that perhaps there were people out there who were trying to tackle the problem, but perhaps it was not their fault that they couldn't reach that wide market so that they could reach me too as a consumer, and then the vegetables I have access to will be wholesome by the time I purchase it and it gets to my home. So I thought, okay, fine. So why don't I also, let's say, contribute my quota to solving this problem? And then I realized I didn't have what it takes. I didn't have the background in agriculture or tech. So I decided to partner with people who had that knowledge. It was not all about agriculture. It was not all about tech. I have a background in marketing as well. So I could bring that along. And then we came. So that was how we came up with this company we are doing. And then I would say that, well, getting into it, I realized the reason why maybe people who were before us didn't make the impact is really difficult, getting to the people on the ground to tell them to do the right thing, because it's like that's what they know, that's what they've been doing. But you realize that their knowledge is really, should I say, not that enough to produce up to the quality they have to, and then you have to keep working with them. You have to devise new strategies and other methods to bring your passion to life. And well, like I said earlier, the journey has been an interesting one. We keep learning every day. Yeah. And I also wanted to say that. So when we came into the market, we realized that about 70% of vegetables that are produced in Ghana go to waste before they actually get to the market. And we're just hoping that one day everything we are doing will reduce it to the barest minimum as possible.
Definitely. And I think just actually to come back to you, Bless, and I think it's always interesting, that's why we're having this kind of conversation, to share a little bit about, maybe give us an example of one kind of challenge that you faced on this journey and how you were able to resolve it. And then I'll move on to Edmund, who's just been able to rejoin us again. So in this journey, this roller coaster ride, right? So tell us one challenge that you faced as an entrepreneur.
Okay, so thank you very much, Vuyo. So one challenge that we faced as a team was sometimes having the whole team to be focused on the same goal. Let's say sometimes we decide that we want to do this, but you get to the field and somebody is doing something else, or somebody is compromising on standards that we have laid down, then it sort of defeats the whole purpose. Then we have to come back again and then find the loophole. So, and like sometimes it delays, or it's not sometimes, so always it delays our goals, it delays our timing. Because let's say if we purpose that we have to do this within 3 months, you see that because of what somebody has done, because somebody is not focused, somebody has deviated from the purpose or the goal, it takes us sometimes even up to a year. So that has been challenging, trying to get everybody on board, because you can't be there at all times to monitor everybody. Yeah, but yeah, so that has been the challenge. And everybody knows that they've all learned now that once you do that, you bring us back to square one and we don't move forward. So we keep learning. So right now, I would say we are overcoming it bit by bit. We're not there yet, but we hope that eventually everybody complies on the team, and we achieve set targets within the time that has been set.
And I think also, I mean, your points now speak a lot to, and I think you have all been trainees on our Shared Value Academy, Shared Value Africa Academy, when we took everyone through creating shared value and what that means for you as an entrepreneur, as an SMME. And I think with that, a lot of it also requires a very strong and certain leadership, right? And I think this is also shows within the challenges, even outside of the challenges, the consistency as you lead your teams becomes very important, and as you determine the direction that you are going into. So just really to reintroduce again Edmund Amu, who's joined us now, who's co-CEO and clinical head at Kenoch HG Herbal Clinic. He is actually at the clinic right now. So, and I think that's also part of the some of the challenges that we're having. But Edmund, tell us a little bit about the Herbal Clinic that you established. And I think just as you round off, talk to us a little bit about what you think, looking back and being part of this shared value network of entrepreneurs that we've created, what kind of highlights would you bring up as part of that experience?
Okay, so thank you, Vuyo. I'm very sorry for the challenges that we faced. I had some small issues with the internet and my laptop. Okay, so I would like to introduce myself again. My name is Edmund Amu. I'm a medical herbalist at Kenoch HG Herbal Clinic Limited. So Kenoch HG Herbal Clinic, we are a herbal clinic based in Ghana. We manufacture herbal medicines from medicinal plants that are cultivated.
Oh my goodness, we're losing you again, Edmund. If you're able to switch off your video, and let's see if we can still hear you. But while we give Edmund an opportunity to do that, I'm going to jump back to Ben. And just Ben, if you can maybe share a little bit about being part of our Shared Value Africa Academy cohort fellowship community. What really has, for you, right, on your journey, been the benefit of being part of this network of entrepreneurs that we have built in this year and a half that we've been working together?
Yeah, so thank you very much for that question. I will say that being part of the Share Value family, or the Share Value academic cohort, as first cohort, was like, first of all, it came at the right time. Okay, it came at the point where we are at that crossroad of what to do next, how to go about this. It's always one of the biggest challenges we always face as a young entrepreneur, especially in Africa, is knowledge, right? And the best way forward. So for us that came from the technical background, it was a little bit of friction then, to move into business, because you look at yourself and say, I don't have all the knowledge. I don't have MBA. I've not gone to Harvard Business School. How do I go about these things? How do I start convincing people to do this and stuff? So the shared value training came at the right time for us. Then we have not even rebranded our name. We are still bearing the name Recycle. So after that training, it opened our eyes to a lot of things. First of all, in terms of understanding, in fact, I came to appreciate that we're already doing shared value on the background, in as much as we don't even know what shared value is on, theoretically. But the whole business of energy in Africa or in Nigeria is kind of a shared value thing, because you are it's a community impactful stuff, and then as you make your profit. So when I ventured into the shared value training, it opened my eye to develop more in what I already know or what I already doing unconsciously, and also it gave us that that strength, that internal resilience to go ahead and take action. In fact, during the shared value training, I and my co-founder made it. It was very clear to us that we have to rebrand, and then we started that process right immediately. So also, shared value opened my head to understand because the first meeting we had at the training, the first thing that came to my head was, this is like CSR, right? It's CSR. But on the second, third training, I started understanding that, man, this is actually different from corporate social responsibility. It's something that has to be integrated as part of the business, not just something that companies do to appease the environment they are, but it's something that you have to do as part of your business. So I would say that I've actually gained a lot, aside the network of people I get to know, coming to Johannesburg for the Shared Value Leadership Summit, and also meeting other colleagues and also the facilitators, Vuyo and Tiki and the rest of them. So something that I really appreciate, and it has actually helped us move ahead and move progressive in what we do. Yeah.
I like that. And I think also in line with that, I mean, this is also, we are a combined platform here, but a last word as we wrap up our session from you, Benedict, and then I'll move on to Bless after this. I'm thinking about, if you look at, we talk a lot about purpose, right? And the intention and the difference that you want to make in the world. Looking forward, looking at 10, 15, 20 years down the line, what impact do you want to make? What do you want to have, what difference do you want to have made in the world as a result of having had Kiru Energy? And then I'll hand over to Bless to answer the same question after you've done that.
Okay, looking forward 10 years down the line, I want to live in an Africa or in a Nigeria where I will, proudly say that I've contributed my own quota in improving the electricity situation here. As I said earlier, the Nigerian business could have made more if electricity issue was solved. I believe, I know that it's something I know that I can't do alone, but I believe that I can do something, right? They say tiny drops of water makes up an ocean. So I want to live in a Nigeria, in Africa, where electricity is taken for granted, where people do not have to go miles or struggle to get petrol or diesel for generators, where the atmosphere or the environment is damaged every single time because of this noise and fumes that come from the generator. And also want to live in an Africa where power will be taken care of. Okay, so, and I believe that if this is done, productivity is improved, economic sustainability is increased, and that dream or that African dream or that goals that we have for Africa will be achieved.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So that's go for us, yeah.
Accessibility and affordability of clean energy, and smart, climate smart solutions at that. That's really exciting. Bless, over to you. What, being our final word before I hand back to Horst, what for you would you want the impact to be looking down in 20 years' time of your organization, of Agricorp? You are on mute, Bless.
Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Vuyo. So within five years down the line, 10 years down the line, I'll be very happy if post-harvest losses in Ghana are reduced by up to 70%, whereas it is 70% losses now. I'd like it if maybe just 30% of produce due to go bad due to post-harvest losses. So that is the ultimate dream, to have post-harvest losses reduced to the barest minimum as possible in Ghana and in other West African countries or African countries as well, so that farmers can get the most out of their hard labor.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I think also, you know, it's always quite exciting to hear the impact that you want to have on the world, and it speaks to your own ambition, right? And the reason that you went into this entrepreneurial journey yourselves in the work that you do. So unfortunately, we were not able to continue with Edmund. I see he's back, but I don't think his sound, his audio or video are stable enough. And with that, unfortunately, we do have to wrap up the session. But thank you so much, Benedict and Bless, and for sharing a little bit about your journey, a little bit what makes you part of our network as a Shared Value Africa initiative. And I'm very proud to have had this conversation with you. And please do stick around for the Q&A that will happen at the end, that our host will bring us back for once the later part of the program has been done. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, host.
Yeah, thank you, Vuyo, for being the anchor of that session, but also thank you very much to Ben, Blaise, and Edmund. I think very impressive what I heard, and let me just highlight that specific relationship between the leadership level and also then the team, which was mentioned by Blaise. I think that's something maybe we should keep in mind also with the description of what is happening in the academy. And maybe we can get later Edmund also in the final debate, so that we don't lose what he had wanted to say. Now, when I'm mentioning the relationship between the leadership level and then the team and all the members of the team, I think we are already in the second part of the panel where we look at mentoring. And I'm extremely happy that we have Thierry Deflandre with us, who will take over now. He is the honorary board member of Entrepreneurs for Entrepreneurs. OVO, I think, is the Belgium abbreviation. And Thierry has a long experience in being a manager and being the lead in companies like ACT. Very impressive, Thierry. And that type of leadership, which you have been experiencing in business, I think you have been somehow then investing also in OVO's activities and in the mentoring. So with all your experience, the coaching you did, and in particular also in very specific parts of businesses active in Africa, I'm very happy that we have you with us, and you will introduce Brian Mangeni, and Brian will be then the anchor of the second panel. So Thierry, you have the floor, please.
Yes, sorry. Thank you very much, Professor Fischer and Sazini, for introducing the topic, and too much of honors for me. And especially the importance of the SMEs. Special thank also to Stefan Moritz, because he is the pusher of the European Entrepreneurs Association, which we are a member of, and who allotted us this first item in the business forum of EU Africa. And I'm honored to join, because I feel like it's not EU Africa, it's Africa EU, it's bottom up session. And this is a great way to start this week of a Brussels-based organization, but bottom up is the best one. I was impressed of Sazini's comment when she mentioned about making global goals local objectives. I think this is a great way of introducing also our activity. At OVO, we believe that private sector development is the way to go for Africa, for youth and employment. And I think Sazini has expanded on that. I will not do more. We think it's much more sustainable to support SMEs, entrepreneurs in Africa, rather than the older way of sending too much money to more structural programs. We do it by our SUSTEC programs. We do it in Rwanda, Uganda, Senegal, and Benin. This is an annual call for projects where we screen, coach, and finance through social loans based on the capacity to pay back about 10 to 12 entrepreneurs in each territory. Again, we believe that's the most sustainable financing way of providing some future for Africa. The backbone of our organization is our volunteers in Belgium, where we have more than 150 seniors like volunteers like me, but even more important is the boots on the ground. And that's why I'm very, very glad to introduce Brian, the head of our East African office. Brian, over to you.
Thank you, Thierry, for the great introduction. I am Brian Mangeni, and I am the head of the East African office of OVO. And I am glad to be here. I'm glad that the issues that we are discussing have been put at the forefront as the beginning session of this conference. I believe we can all agree that African challenges can best be solved by African innovators, but the European-African collaboration is critical for the success of those initiatives. African startups that are developing disruptive solutions to social challenges have limited resources and struggle to reach scale. With this in mind, OVO's Sustainable Technology for Africa program works with businesses that have a social mission ingrained within their DNA, providing actionable insights to enable these businesses grow, achieve sustainability, and generate more profits. But unlike traditional businesses that focus on enriching the shareholders, the most important thing for the businesses we support is that the profits are reinvested into the activities necessary to achieve the social mission set out. OVO's methodology, based upon north to south knowledge transfer that brings together ex-business leaders, hands-on experts from different fields, academic giants, and economic students from Europe to guide African entrepreneurs grow their businesses. And this is helping change the mindset in Africa from the contentment of keeping their businesses small to aiming to build industry juggernauts that can capture significant market share and go on to conquer the world. While this in itself is a unique way of carrying out acceleration, the fact that our volunteers rubber stamp the entrepreneurs that successfully complete the program with a social loan to help them get to the next stage has set the program apart and ensured that we are building a community of enthusiastic and energetic alumni in our OVO Business Club. And today you're going to hear from some of our most impactful stars. We are now running our SASTEC for Africa program in 4 countries, Uganda, Rwanda, Senegal, and Benin, with Tanzania joining soon. And we are taking the European-African cooperation even further through our mobilization of local volunteer coaches to provide a local context in the process of supporting these entrepreneurs, while at the same time building a society of local business angels that are willing to invest local capital alongside the investments from Europe. We truly believe that this spirit of collaboration between Europe and Africa and believe that with this spirit of collaboration between Europe and Africa, nothing is beyond reach. I would like to keep my part short because the stars of the show are the entrepreneurs who we have supported. And today I'm glad to introduce 3 of them to you. I see one of them has dropped off the call, but we are glad to have Sarah Atuhairi of Akaboxi, Regina Nakayenga of Rena Beverages, and I hope Ivan Agava of Imani Academies does rejoin as we go on with this session. So just like Vuyo did, I would like to give 3 minutes to each of the entrepreneurs to tell us about their businesses, starting with Sarah of Akaboxi.
So thank you, Brian, and everyone else. My name is Sarah Tyler of Upbox, and we are a digital financial inclusion system that enables smallholder farmers in rural communities to manage and monitor their savings together. And I'm talking about the VSLS, these Village Saving and Loan Association groups that do make assemblies every week to make sure they make a pool and access finance. As you know very well that financial exclusion is at its peak. So we come up to solve that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Ms. Regina, please tell us about your business.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nakayenga Regina, the MD of Beverage Solutions. We do hibiscus products, which include the juice, the concentrate, the powder for tea, as well as the tea bags. And we work with the outgrower groups, whom we support with the appropriate technologies to produce appropriate quality and quantity of the produce which we process.
All right. Thank you, Regina. If possible, I would request that you put on your camera so that the people can see your beautiful face. So, Sarah, I would like to start with you as we wait for Ivan to rejoin, hopefully. Can you briefly take us through your journey with OVO, how you came to know about OVO and what you were able to gain from taking part in the SASTEC for Africa program?
Thank you. So in 2018, I remember very well towards the end of the year, that's August, September, a call comes and we apply. And this was an idea that needed to be polished and worked on thoroughly because it was a real good idea with my background, which I had searched on. And a call comes in and we apply. And on application, we're shortlisted to take part as SASTEC for agriculture. And guess what? In September, we win the call and we were disbursed 42,000 euros, though in phases. And at that time, we had 3 groups working with, and we had 150,000 users. And the system was really not at its best. So we needed more money to help us move it on. And with OVO, we really got it right because we're able to have the system that is a carboxylate system worked upon and did the testing and usage. Right now, we have full components of the system and working very well. And as I told you, we had 150, but by end of last year, 2021, we're having 2,050 users. Currently, this is February, we are entering March, we have about 2,200 users. With OVO, we're able to get more partnerships, and this is through references by OVO, some of them, and another one you'd mentioned, I got this money from OVO, so I can do very well. And we got more partners, and in these ones, we have Sakawa Global 2000, we have Massachusetts Institute of Technology as solving African challenges. So Seed Catalyzer from Belgium and from German, Enable Youth Fund. And we have a local one, which is Bright Rural Communities. And we are happy to have joined OVO at that time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you too. So I'll just keep the same energy towards Regina. Could you tell us about how you got involved with OVO and how much you've been able to gain from your interaction with the volunteers at OVO? Regina, if you can hear us, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I was asking about your journey with OVO. Could you take us through how much you've been able to gain from your interaction with the volunteers?
Thank you very much. We have really gained a lot from OVO. We started our company in 2010, registered it in 2012. We've been moving on doing hibiscus products, various hibiscus products. In 2019, we wanted to reach out to an unreached market niche, that is the corporate, the expatriates who need hibiscus, but they don't want a cup with the dredges. So we pitched in the competition for hibiscus tea bags and we won the pitch. We got funding for the hibiscus tea bag and we got it last year. The beauty with it is that people have confidence in us, and when we go down to the communities we work with, because we wanted to touch the bottom line, the communities are benefiting since we have introduced to them solar dryers, and now we even want to introduce the hibiscus harvester for them to be able to harvest all that they grow in their gardens and be able to dry it properly so that we produce quality hibiscus tea bags which are competitive on the international market. We've also benefited from other trainings with OVO exchange vis, and the most recent one actually is very interesting because we saw a much more cheaper solar dryer facility for our farmer groups, which we are going to adopt for them. And so we really have a lot to praise the relationship we have with the OVO. I submit.
Thank you, Regina. So Sarah, you work with female farmers all over Uganda. Can you give us an insight into your impact on them and what you have seen change as you've been working with them over there?
Through our products that were majorly engineered by OVO, we do give access to finance to these women organized in groups, in VSLA groups. I've seen the women who used to save by 2019 about 0.5 euros. They have now tripled to 2.5 euros, that is about 10,000 Uganda shillings, which is a plus on the community, because that means increased saving, increased income, and improved livelihoods, and then families are better than how we fund them. We've seen through the operation reach out to many regions in Uganda, that is all the regions except West Nile. And We are moving on to also reach Busoga through the collaboration, Busoga region, and we are going to impact many people. Also, through our product, we also offer access to ready markets for smallholder farmers. And these ladies are the women in rural communities. Whatever they produce, they've been able to access ready market for them. And so it goes back, the chain goes back, it's revolving, it goes back to saving and increased income for the communities. We've seen many more want to join in because of the system that not only monitors and manages their saving groups, but also curbs issues like gender violence that used to be too much by the time we started in 2018, 2019. We used to have about 5 cases on average by December. Right now, last year, at the police station where we are stationed, we had only 1 case, which is a plus on our side, and these are really, they used to be related to savings for women, gender violence in families. Also, we have gone ahead with the OVO partners, the coaches and mentors, to introduce other products that work on environmental protection. We do trees planting and also the introduction of briquette machines that reduces the cutting of trees. I remember in 2020, when Thierry, who's around, visited, and other colleagues and beyond, they visited these families and saw how the trees were cut and their kitchens, health challenges. And so we introduced briquettes with the help of the OVO team, and it has been moving on very well. And this has many benefits, including even health benefits. Yeah, there's so many that we can mention. But also the ones that, in communities, we have had the mentality, the mindset change, where people used to normally depend on hands-on, lack of access to finance, which they really get now. They can access money, bigger money in the pool, meaning they are able to have many businesses, small businesses that will really improve their way of living. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That's amazing impact that you're having on the communities that you're dealing with. Over to Regina. There are so many other products that are simpler, there's so many other crops that are simpler to deal with than hibiscus. What informed your decision to go into processing hibiscus, and how much impact has it had on the communities that you're dealing with? I think we may have, oh, she's back. Regina, if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
My network has broken.
Okay, so sorry about that. I'm happy to repeat the question. I was wondering, there are so many other crops that are much easier to grow and process. What informed your decision to choose hibiscus of all crops, and what kind of impact is dealing in hibiscus having on the communities that you're dealing with?
Okay, what informed my decision to deal in hibiscus was, first of all, personal health, I should say, because I didn't know about hibiscus.
Sorry, Regina, we are finding it hard hearing you. Could I suggest you turn off the camera and we try to see if we can just do audio? Regina?
Sudden, a friend of mine told me that if I use their discuss for my menopause problems, they would really lead my life. I felt so good. My family has.
Sorry about that. Let us try to get Regina back when her network is better. But for Sarah, since we have an audience that is full of Africans and Europeans, what is it that you can tell them that is needed in order to have more of you in Africa, more businesses like a Kaboxi that are impacting huge communities and making a profit while doing what they do?
I would think one of the things that, let me start with Africa, that we would need to do is to do more networking, partnerships, to have our businesses known and create that impactful to the people we are serving. And to Europeans, what we need to do is study the market very well. You know where what our markets are structured and our norms, the social norms, because some of these entrepreneurs, most of us are social entrepreneurs. So you are knowing some of the norms that our country face, associated with our communities and our countries and the continent at large would be really, really good. And also more networking with many entrepreneurs would also be a good deal for both of us, that is Africa and European entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Regina, I see that we have you back. We didn't hear anything that you said in the last submission. Could you kindly repeat that for us? Because I know you have an interesting story. Hello, Regina, can you hear me? Okay. As you can probably tell, if you're sitting somewhere in Europe, internet is one of the areas where you could actually make a strategic investment, because as you can see, there has been a lot of struggle right from the first session into this session. So we would appreciate more stable internet. These two entrepreneurs are just the tip of the iceberg that OVO has to offer. And OVO does not deal with entrepreneurs in isolation. We work with partners such as Einstein Rising, to which I also belong, that accelerates early stage entrepreneurs and passes them through the value chain, through the pipeline, the investment pipeline to OVO and other impact investors. We work as well with universities, vocational institutions, NGOs, and other incubation hubs that are joining hands with us to ensure we have a steady flow of disruptive entrepreneurs coming through the pipeline. So in that regard, I would like to extend an invitation. A famous African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. So in that spirit, we invite any organization or individual in attendance, if you feel you have something to offer in this process, join hands with us and let us multiply the impact 100-fold especially in these post-pandemic times. Thank you all for listening to us, and a big thank you to the organizers of the conference once again for prioritizing the discussion about shared value and sustainable business.
Brian, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and also thank you very much to Sarah and Gina for their descriptions and for answering your questions. I found really interesting also the description and the reports about the female farmers and what impact over had on them. I think in general, the interaction between entrepreneurs and organizations supporting them, I think is a very important issue. Now, we have some questions in the chat, and I know that Christina followed the chat, and maybe Christina, you can read one or the other question. And I would also like to keep, of course, Vuyo and Brian with us here, and the entrepreneurs who are still there, so that we can select, and maybe then Vuyo and Brian, you can add to what the answer to the question is. Christina, please.
Thank you, Professor Fischer. Good day, everyone. So first comment from the chat says, large companies should mentor startups that are born with the aim of sustainable development. This process will not only be about financial support, but first and foremost about sharing experience. So they're asking, what can help to accelerate this experience?
Christina, can you repeat the question? Sorry. What can help?
What can help to accelerate this experience, the sharing experience?
Okay, let me first give the floor to Vuyo and to Brian, and then we can ask the entrepreneurs. Vuyo, please.
Thank you, Horst. Thank you, Christina. And my understanding of the question is how, from a large organizational perspective, right, how they can help entrepreneurs in accelerating the experience. And I'm just going to revert back also to Sazini's keynote at the start, where one of the first touch points could be for your large organizations, your multinationals, etc., to look at how can they have these SMEs become part of their supply chain in some way or other. So it can start with a procurement, conversation, a procurement approach to that, because that will certainly is something that can help them accelerate the experience, right, by going through that value chain and procurement processes. That's my first thought, but I will pause and see if Brian has anything to add.
Well, it's funny that question should come up, because under OVO, we actually have a program where we're trying to encourage the big companies to send some of their employees as volunteers to deal with these startups, so that they also pass on the knowledge and they also pick something from the startups that is just like Thierry said at the beginning, the bottom up. We're always looking for a bottom-up relationship when it comes to our processes. So we're trying to encourage as many corporates around Europe to develop programs where they send out their employees to give support, because we don't see the value in the big corporates being them probably investing in their future competition financially. But we see a lot of value in them just sharing their knowledge, sharing their skills, their experience with the startups. And with that, the funders for the startups are there. So let them just share their knowledge, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Are there additions to that, maybe by Ben?
Just from what Brian said, I think I believe that larger organizations have a lot of role to play in encouraging and mentoring young startups, especially here in Africa, where that gap is still there. It's kind of an opportunity, not just for the smaller organization, but also for the bigger organization to mentor these coming up entrepreneurs, because at the end there might be rooms for partnership, there might also be room for further collaborations and stuff. In fact, as a startup founder, I believe that this is very, very necessary because it helps us a lot. I've benefited from such programs in the past, and I believe that more of it is actually needed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Regina, you might want to add to that? I don't think that the connection is stable. I don't see her. So maybe Christina, the next question, please.
Hello, speaking.
Regina,
hello?
Okay, we listen to you, please.
Okay. I think I needed to first expound on the reason why we chose hibiscus and not any other crop to focus on. It's because hibiscus is nutritional and medicinal, and our experience shows that many people have been improved because of hibiscus. During COVID itself, many people were buying hibiscus because of its vitamin C and the antioxidants, and many people recovered from COVID using hibiscus. With the communities we work with, especially the outgrowers, we have taught them the benefits of hibiscus. So they are not only focusing on money, but they are using it in their day-to-day lives, drinking it as tea, mixing it in porridge, making different concoctions, and their lives have really improved. They are proud of using hibiscus and growing it. And so we want to push it further to the government to look at it as a priority crop. And we are grateful for
I think the line is broken again, at least here on my end.
Because they have supported recent exposure is answering my mic. I hope you are still listening to me. So we
Sorry, Regina, the line is very bad. The line is very bad, but let me ask.
A center stage in the farmers.
Okay. Thank you. Let me get Sarah in, because I see that she's also online. Sarah, can you hear me? That does not seem to be the case. And Blaise, can you hear me? No. So Christina, now I get, who was that? Blaise? Huh?
Pardon? Hello?
So the two are in. So let's get Blaise first and then Sarah.
Okay.
So I'd like to say that I agree with the first two speakers on this, Vuyo and Mike. In Ghana, I think last year GIZ started that in one of the programs they did. I think it was Gender Makes Business Sense, where they match upcoming businesses to already established ones, and they are expected to mentor them for over a year or so. So it's a laudable idea, and I just hope that a lot of other organizations will emulate that, and then would mentor entrepreneurs, especially in their first 5 years of business. And I'm sure this can help reduce the mortality rate of startups, especially in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Blaise. And Sarah?
My contribution was on research and development. Many startups have very good and unique ideas, and especially those into technology and other products innovations. And if more research can be done by these bigger companies and a lot can go higher in terms of solving community and community challenges.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, Christina, please.
Thank you. So next question is, what mechanism is in place to facilitate direct contact between European investors or partners and young project holders of multifunctional agro-pastoral farms in a startup state who aspire to develop industries for the processing of their product afterwards? Thank you.
Okay, very interesting question. Vuyo and Brian first, maybe, or Thierry, one of you, an answer before I give.
My apologies. Would you mind repeating the question, Christina? I got the end of it, but not the start of it. My apologies.
Sure. So what mechanism is in place to facilitate direct contact between European investor or partners and young project holders of multifunctional agropastoral farms in a startup state who aspire to develop industries for the processing of their product afterwards?
I think this might be a question for Thierry and Brian on that side. Thank you.
Maybe Thierry first.
I think Brian is much better speaker than me, but the thinking in half a reply is that our experience is that we should split up ideation stage, startup stage, and then scale-up stages. And that for all these three stages, we need different solutions. We prefer to focus ourselves on the acceleration stage because experienced coaches like me prefer to reorient strategically and not give the basic trainings which you need when you start up. So that is already a big warning. I believe that for startups, there is a lot of solutions already available in each of the respective African markets. There is a lot of these hubs in which you can get the basics, get your ideas. As was mentioned by Sarah, you need to do some R&D, but that's the cup of tea of Einstein Rising, and that's where maybe it's time for Brian to elaborate on that.
Right. Thank you, Thierry. I was actually going to put out an open invitation to whoever wants such services to join the OVO volunteers so that they can directly benefit from Einstein Rising being the boots on the ground and looking for these opportunities for them such that they can have due diligence done, they can have follow up on any investments that they make on the ground, they can have real-time reports being provided to them. There is, just like Thierry has said, there is a large network of players at different stages of the startup pipeline. So if you are connected to an organization like OVO, they can be a backward linkage to organizations like Einstein Rising, which are doing the incubation, and also the ones that are feeding Einstein Rising, which are doing the ideation and feeding into the pipeline. So I would encourage you get in touch with us. My colleagues Sheila and Feli will share details, our contact details in the chat, so that anyone who wants such services can get in touch with us, and we'll see how to help them best.
Yeah. Brian, I don't think that you have seen that, but you already won a volunteer in the chat. I can see it's Jay Zena who wants to be a volunteer. So that was already, I think, a good result of you calling for it. However, maybe the entrepreneurs who are still here in our call, maybe you can add to the chat if there are mechanisms you have been using. Please put them in the chat so that the participants can see it there. Because I'm just assuming that Christina has more questions, right?
Yes. So next question is, what can we do to understand the different scaling path of startups, especially in regard to assistive technology?
Who can answer that question? I'm just looking at Ben.
Hi, please, Christina, could you come with the first part again, please? I didn't get it.
So, what can we do to understand the different scaling path of startups, especially in regard to assistive technology? Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, or for what we do at Kiru, first of all, we are a technology-based company, and we always try to leverage on emerging technologies to scale to make our business better for our customers and also for ourselves. So for me, what I think is, based on my experience, I sometimes integrating some kind of technology at a particular stage you are in business can come with a little bit of friction in terms of the finance. So, for example, us for us now, we are using IoT technology for our electronic systems, to connect our customers to the mobile app, so there can be this seamless integration and connectivity. So before we even got to that point, there was once a time where we go and we don't have these things in place, because it doesn't mean that we don't know about it, that we can't build it, but getting the right set of people to work on such technologies, and also getting the hardware involved, because we are a hybrid-based organization. It can cost a lot of money, and also technicalities and expertise. So what I advise is there's always a roadmap to this. So you for a technology-based organization, you have what you intend to do. You want to bring in machine learning, you want to integrate IoT, you want to bring in artificial intelligence and stuff like that. You may not be able to jump into to the last thing you want to do. So you might just start at the base level. Okay, you can start maybe with maybe manual, and then from there you automate, and then scale to the to where you're supposed to be.
Okay.
So if I understand that question correctly, that's why.
Very much, because there's also noise in the background. But can I ask Regina? Regina, do you want to add? I think there is a difficulty with the connection. And Blaise and Sarah, maybe you. Regina, are you still there? We cannot hear you. Sorry.
I'm there.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
And now I can hear you. Please.
The skilling in technology is very, very important. But the most important thing also is to develop appropriate technologies that address people's needs. You are hearing me?
Yes, we do.
Hello?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So when the technologies are developed, the users have to be trained in how to use them properly. Financing those technologies is very critical, because in most African countries, that is a missing gap. I submit.
Yeah, Regina, thank you very much. And I think we have just time for one more answer. Can I ask Sarah or Blaise? From your perspective, this question, the last question, or Vuyo or Brian? That does not seem to be the case, and let me just highlight, and it's very unfortunate, but we have to wrap up. We have 1.5 more minutes, and I would like to use the opportunity first to thank everybody, the speakers, the anchors, and also those with the presentations at the very beginning. I think it was very interesting, the way we started, and we had the questions from the audience. I would like to thank the audience. We had almost 300 participants, I think, which is a wonderful start for all of us. Thank you, the organizers. I think it was well drafted, the way we looked at shared value and the mentorship, and I hope that this will be continued during the coming days in other meetings. And this whole question of how to develop this shared value concept and how to develop the mentorship, I think there were some answers by our panelists today, and also they highlighted some of the issues which are the most important from their perspective. I learned a lot, and of course I'm not an expert in businesses in Africa, but I think also for everybody in the chat with all the questions, and you can please still read them, they are there. and we try to answer them. Christina will take care of that. I think it was very fruitful exchange we had. Thank you very much for this, what we could listen to, also the description of what you did. Congratulations again. Tomorrow at 4:15, there's another panel organized by European entrepreneurs and PACI, PACCI, how to foster entrepreneurship for young people through education and professional training. So that's a continuation of today. Thank you very much again, and have a fruitful day.